Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. We finally got some Overwatch CS, Overwatch Championship Series news. We have another article that has been released with competition details for North America and EMEA. So I said I was going to do this when more information got released. So here we are. So more information has been released. I've broken it down. We got not just this competition details article that came out. We also have a rule book that got released, which I'll go through some of the things in there. Faceit made an article of what their integration is going to be like. And I'm also going to explain the Swiss format for some people that are a little confused, because even I was a little confused, but we've worked it out and we'll be able to explain that to you guys so you understand. So let's do this. We come in with the Overwatch 24 season. This is not new news. In North America and EMEA, there will be 4 stages with 2 majors happening. The first major will be at DreamHack Dallas. The second one will be at DreamHack Stockholm. So they've sort of broken down and explained what these stages are going to entail. So we're going to go through that right now. So worth noting, this is only for North America and EMEA. The Asian region has their own different set of things that I might go over in a different video at some point. So that is going to be their own little thing that's going on the side. We're just going to talk about the regional tournaments for North America and EMEA. So the way it's going to go is there's going to be 3 stages over 4 weeks for each of the stages. Well, maybe calling a stage isn't great. Maybe 3 different parts of each stage in a 4-week event. So it's going to start off with a week 1 qualifier as a Swiss stage. So 512 teams are going to be able to sign up, and they will go through those 512 teams, and that will be broken down into 16 teams. These 16 teams are going to end up for the week 2 and week 3 qualifier group stage, which they will have a group stage, and the top 2 teams of every group will then be pushed through into week 4, which is the main event, which is an 8-team double elimination bracket, which then will qualify and earn points to see who ends up at the majors later on. So first things first, let's go through the week 1. What is a Swiss stage? How are they filtering through 512 teams to get the best 16? So Swiss stage is a very popular format for big tournaments, to be able to have a tournament that doesn't have great seeding, but still have the best teams make it out of the bracket. Because if you just have an open bracket where everyone is just thrown in willy-nilly, what happens is sometimes good teams end up against another good team and they get knocked out and don't end up in the top 16. So Worlds 2023 for League of Legends actually did a Swiss stage for their 16, I think it was 16 teams? Yeah, 16 teams. And I think this graphic does a great job of summarizing how Swiss stage works. So obviously, it's going to be a lot bigger than 16 teams. We're going to have potentially 512, but it functions the same way, just imagine it a lot bigger. But essentially what happens is everyone will play up to 9 rounds in the Overwatch 1. And when you win a game, you will play up against another team who also won a game. So if you win, you go up against another team that's 1-0. If you lose, you'll go up against another team that's 0-1, right? And then the same thing happens again for the next round. If you win your next match, you go up against the team that's 2-0. If you lose, you go up against someone who's 1-1, right? And eventually what happens is it starts throwing teams out as teams start to win or lose enough matches. If you go 3-0 in this bracket, you will advance into the group stage. If you go 0-3, you would get knocked out of the Swiss bracket. And that's going to start filtering teams out as they play more matches, and then hopefully we will end up with the 16 best teams in the group stage so we can see the best Overwatch possible. Worth noting, as we go through this, everything will be able to be co-streamed. Players will be able to stream their own point of views. Everything will be happening. We don't really have much information on main broadcasts, but for all we know, that is what is going to be happening. Teams will be sort of getting filtered in and out, and hopefully we'll be able to watch as much Overwatch, because this will be a lot more of an open format than we've seen in the past. Okay, so once you have made it to this main event, there is going to be 4 stages, right? So the way that you're going to be able to qualify for the majors is you have to get as good a position at the 2 stages to be able to qualify for the major. And the way that they're determining who is going to be able to qualify is you are going to get points and prizing based on your performance in each stage. So if you finish first in the first stage, so once we get to the main event, 8 teams filter through, you end up winning the double elimination bracket, you'll get 50 points. That's great. Then if you do the same thing in the second stage and you come first again, you'll end up with 150 points and you can potentially qualify for the major. So the way that they're going to be qualifying the teams for the major, well, let's go up because I think this is a better way to explain it. Let's do this. The team that wins stage 2, so the main bracket of stage 2, will automatically get a qualification. One team from NA, one team for EMEA. Those 2 teams that win their main event of stage 2 will automatically get sent into the major at DreamHack. So for the first one, that'll be in Dallas. Whoever wins stage 2 gets an automatic qualification. There are 3 teams from North America, 3 teams from EMEA, and 2 teams from the Asia region. Those 8 teams will come together and play at these majors. So one team who wins North American EMEA main event of stage 2 will qualify. The other 2 teams from each region that will come will be based off of points. So the next 2 teams who have the highest number of points accrued from stage 1 and stage 2 will then qualify for the major. The same thing happens once again at the finals. The team that wins stage 4 in North American EMEA, who wins that main event, will qualify for the finals. And then the next 2 teams from each region who have the most points accruing from all 4 stages will be the final 8 teams at the finals. It's a little confusing, yes, I know, but hopefully it will start to make sense as you go throughout the tournament and you can see people accruing points and who will be qualifying. The TLDR is that the format seems quite good on paper. The point system seems like teams will be wanting to stay together for longer to be able to accrue their points to be able to make the main events. The teams that are currently doing quite well, so if you win the stage 2 or you win stage 4, you want to see the teams that are doing well now, here and there, to be able to show their faces at the major. So that is what this is really promoting. And honestly, there's going to be a lot of Overwatch happening over those 4 matches. There's going to be, lots of streams going on, and there's going to be lots of things happening, which is awesome for the scene. So let's talk about the prizing, because how there is going to be money and who's going to be winning what and what everyone is ultimately playing for. So the prizing is there is $75,000 up for grab every single stage. This is how the prize distribution is going to go. If you come first in North America for that first stage, you get $30,000 for your team, okay? That will be true across the board for all 4 stages. This point, as you can see, the prizing distribution is the same. Something interesting that they have done throughout the stages is the point distribution does not remain consistent. They are giving more points to the teams as the stage goes on because they want the value of your points to be higher, or at least your placement to be higher, so you deserve more points the closer we get to the ultimate DreamHack in Stockholm at the end of the year. Because you don't want a team that gets a ton of points in stage 1 because they're really good, but they suck towards stage 4, but they had so many points at the beginning of the season that they qualify anyway. Other tournaments have done that, and it really sucks to not see the best teams right now showing up at the major, but it will value consistency throughout the year. So if you can accumulate the most amount of points throughout the year, then you will end up at the tournaments. It's pretty interesting. It's a cool format. On paper, it looks really good. We'll have to wait and see how it ends up coming out, but overall, things look pretty good. Hello, sorry. I am interrupting this important message because chat yelled at me that I forgot something very important in the video. So I'm just going to splice it in the middle here, exactly where it should have been. Crowdfunding is also going to be a thing in OWCS, which is awesome. Similar to how it worked in Overwatch World Cup, where there will be a skin or something that you can buy in store, and a percentage of that will go to the prize pool. OWCS did say that is going to be the funding and how you're going to make money at the major events. So the 2 DreamHack events, the prize pool will be determined by the fans and, by, the collaboration of the community, which is awesome because that's a limitless amount of money. And it really comes down to how awesome the support is and the skin and everything, which is how Dota and the International made its millions and made it such an important circuit. So hopefully we can see something like that for Overwatch. And that is cool. They didn't give us a lot of details. They just said it would be crowdfunded. So we'll see what that means as time goes on. So sorry about that. Back to me just rambling again. So let's talk about the eligibility of these teams, and then we'll talk about the rule book and how some of the points and the nitty gritty keeps going. So eligibility, there's a nice little part here. So rosters may have a maximum of 8 players. So you can have up to 8 players, minimum 5. Obviously, you need 5 players to play Overwatch. All players must be at least 17 years of age. This is likely just due to guardianship issues and players traveling to lands and stuff like that if they are underage. Rosters may have a maximum of 2 non-resident players across OWCS regions. So you cannot import, as a North American team, you cannot import 4 Korean players to be a part of your North American team, or Korean players or Korean team cannot just come to North America and compete in North America. You can only have 2 imports. There are obviously casualties of this system of you can't be 5 Australian players and play in North America, which is quite sad. Australian players, if they do want to play in North America, if you're not a permanent resident of North America, you will count as an import slot. So those 2 positions will be very important for some North American teams as they try and fill out their rosters. We don't really know who or how many players are going to be interested in importing players. There are rumors. Obviously, the main one going around is someone of merit potentially coming in to be a part of the Toronto Defiance new OWCS team, and they'll be playing with a couple of North American players. So they are putting restrictions so that it feels regionalized, but they do want to allow some players here and there. And also, you must have a good standing with Faceit, Overwatch 2, and Blizzard. That's the other last rule. So just sort of giving themselves the right to be able to sort of mess with those types of things. So that was a lot of word vomit. I just yelled at you. Hopefully it made some sense. If it doesn't, ask questions in the comments. I can do and fill in any misconceptions later on. But overall, it'll begin to make sense as it starts to unfold. So now I want to get into some of the little nitty-gritty minutia of the rule book, because we went and combed through this and sort of found some of the very important things that sort of will determine how the formatting is going to work and how the point system specifically is going to work. So the first one to talk about is the point system. The point system is the thing that makes this very interesting. So there's point distribution for where you place in the points, but one of the big issues is that how do you apply points to a team if that team breaks up or if a player leaves that team? And in the rulebook, they've actually done a very good job of outlining and setting pretty good groundworks for how it's going to work and stop players from jumping teams or players with a high number of points moving to a different team. So the way it works for points is the points are awarded to individual players. So let's say you finish first in stage 1 as a team. Every single player gets 50 points. And the way that it is going to be distributed is that your 5 core players, the 5 players who played the most number of maps on your team, that average of points for your team is your team's point average. There are important rules to stop players or teams from importing or signing a player from a different team. So let's say your average of your team is 30 points. If you sign a player who has 50 points, they will only come in and provide you 30 points. They will come in to the par of your team's average. So you cannot sign a player last minute or going into a new stage to bump up the average of your team. So that's stopping players from just jumping ship and just trying to bump up your team's average to qualify at the last second. There is also an important rule that your team's core average point for your team is locked directly after the main stage of stage 2 and stage 4. So once stage 2 is concluded in the main stage, the points are distributed for the placements. You can no longer add players or subtract players and have your points change. So whatever is finished at stage 2 and stage 4, that is locked in for the main events. And this is, as I said, to stop teams and players from jumping ship. I'm looking at you North American contenders. You guys love to do that shit. You're like, oh, last second, whoop, I'm going over here. Oh, we're going over here. We're doing this. It's just stop the complications of the qualifications of these major events by teams just going all over the place at any time. So I'm not going to go through all the specifics, how subs work is based on the number of maps you played and the number of points you have, because obviously subs need to get points as well, but how do they become eligible for the number of points if they didn't play enough maps? All of that is outlined quite well in the rulebook. I will put a link to this in the comments if you want to go through it yourself, but if we go over every little thing, this video is going to go for an hour. So, and I'm already feel like I'm just yelling at you guys right now. But let's keep going and talking about some of the other interesting things that are happening. There is a map ban system that is going to be coming in at this tournament. So the map systems is the Swiss stage will be best of 3, first to 2. And then everything after the Swiss stage is going to be best of 5, first to 3. And then the grand finals will be best of 7, first to 4. Pretty standard for what we would expect for all of these kind of tournaments. But they've also talked about how each map is working. I have it just here. So for the Swiss stage, it's going to be control, hybrid, then escort. Just looking here, with the tiebreaker being flashpoint. In first to 3, it is going to go control, hybrid, push, flashpoint, escort, with the tiebreakers being control and push. Then in first to 4 in the grand finals, it'll be control, hybrid, push, flashpoint, escort, control, escort, then tiebreakers, push, escort, control, fucking a billion things. But it makes sense. And we will be seeing a bunch of different maps, but there are also map bans, and they sort of go through over how it works for each stage, right? So when we're in the Swiss stage of how this is working, the way it will work for control through the Faceit integration that we'll talk about in just a second, Team A bans one map from the available map pool of controls. Team B will then ban a map themselves, and then Team A will select map 1. Team B selects sides for map 1, which doesn't really matter in control, but that matters for other map types. So each team going to every single map, if there is enough available maps, will get one map ban going into each map series, which is awesome, right? So that it gives teams and players agency over the series that they're playing, rather than just being like, yo, you're playing these maps, good luck, have fun. Or the losers picking a map can be a little strong without your option to have any counterplay of banning maps. So map bans coming in, overall net positive for OWCS. We'll see how that plays out overall as time goes on. This obviously, as we go to first to 3, same thing happens again. Map bans going through, control, hybrid, push, flashpoint, blah, 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 blah. So that is good overall. The map system and the map bans look really good. The first to 3, the way everything's working. Honestly, overall, this whole rule book and the formatting of everything, you got an A+ from me. Custa approved. It all looks very good. Obviously, we'll have to see how it plays out, but it's about the best they could do with what they have. So big props to Sean Miller, Matt Mr. X, rip from Activision Blizzard, but they've done a great job, and everyone else who was involved in setting up this format. It all looks great. So that's everything to do with the rulebook. So let's talk about Faceit, because Faceit is an interesting collaboration coming forward in the future of Overwatch 2 esports and just competitive Overwatch overall. If you don't know really what Faceit is, it's primarily used within CSGO and CS2, where it's essentially a third-party website where they can run tournaments, and it has integration within the game to make it as seamless as possible to run tournaments. So it's great that Blizzard has partnered with Faceit, and they talk about in this article, once again, will be linked in the comments of, or the description of this video, but it's essentially talking about how they're going to be able to set it up. So if you want to compete in OWCS, you're going to go through Faceit, you're going to make a team, you're going to sign up for OWCS, and everything will work through there. They have a cool little schedule here that you can see if you want to look at all the dates. But the big thing that they're doing is the automated API within the game. So what this does, it not only allows teams to sign up and have a team and connect their Battle.net profile that will show their stats of the matches that they played attached to their Battle.net profile, but it automatically allows this map ban veto system that we've had in the past. So the way it works, when you're setting up the lobby for your match, you will go through the Faceit client. Both teams will show up, they'll log in, and they'll enter the lobby. Then you will go through your map veto system. The teams will ban the 2 maps that they want to play. One team will pick, and then as soon as that's done, you will press start match. The match will start, and automatically when you open Overwatch, which from pressing the start button, Faceit will invite you to a game lobby. You will join the game lobby. Everyone will get that invite. You'll automatically be put in your situation or your teams. You'll automatically have the game mode set up on the correct map, the correct settings, the correct systems, everything that needs to be done. All you need to do is get everyone to press OK, and then you're going into the lobby. Makes everything much more seamless, which when you have 512 teams is very important. So this is a great thing. It's really cool to see what they're doing here. As I said, there will be stats, there will be all these different things that will be able to come through. Not only for OWCS is this going to be super awesome and important, the cool thing is the potential for what they can do outside of OWCS is very awesome. And they've talked about, we want to give these tools to other people to run in the future. If you're, the J3 tournament, right, that is coming up, all of a sudden, if they could run it through Faceit, it makes the whole process a lot more seamless. They can have their own rules. They can do all their own things. They can integrate it however they want, and it will make everything better. Not only that, is it opens the door for other, tournament organizers, anyone to be able to run a weekly tournament that doesn't always have to be OWCS level. So there could be almost like, let's say, Gosu Gamers. This is very similar to how Gosu Gamers used to run Gosu Gamers weekly tournaments, which OWCS teams might not always be playing in, but your average Timmy, who's a diamond team who wants to play in a weekly tournament on the weekend, they can. There might be a tournament that goes up for a $500 prize pool where you can play in it and you compete against teams and see how far you guys can go. That's easily something that could become a thing with this Faceit system working. They've said that they want to do this and they're hoping to get that integration. It doesn't look like it will be up and running until it's tested a little bit with OWCS and making sure the API and the functionality of everything works. But overall, that's essentially what the goal is. And that's what you should be excited about, not just for the OWCS, but for everything else working around it. This is a great direction for, Overwatch esports as a whole. And I feel like it's going to go back to a lot of what the grassroots of Overwatch competitive was back in the day, where it was a lot more open and everyone can attempt to try and play. There is weaknesses of this OWCS model that is worth talking about, where the distribution of money and the number of matches that are going to be played is going to be very top heavy. There isn't a tier 2 scene anymore. There's only the tier 1 guys fighting it out. Everyone can compete in the 512 team bracket, but there are very few teams that are going to play a lot of matches, right? There's only going to be once a month, in those 4 stages where you'll get the opportunity to play, but most people are going to get knocked out very quickly. So there are some positives, there are some minuses, there are some teams that are going to make money, there are some people who are good who aren't going to make a lot of money, but hey, beggars can't be choosers. Esports is going through economic downturn. It's hard out here. Overwatch League is officially dead. We just had the Activision Blizzard esports layoffs. There's so many things going wrong. So we're just looking for some positives in the bleak future that is existing. But personally, you should be excited about OWCS. I think they're doing everything right with the tools that they have available to them. Bro, it's even got me coming out of retirement. You guys want to see something crazy? I ended up being like, you know what? I got nothing else to go with my life. Let's do it. You're going to see me coming out of retirement. If you guys want to see me scrim, I'm going to be competing in these tournaments as well. You guys want to come check out this out. I have put a LFT out. I've actually got an astonishing number of interest in my team. I was thinking I'd just end up on a stream team, but there might be potentially bigger things on my horizon. So if you guys want to check that out, make sure to keep coming to my Twitch. Maybe I'll cut some stuff, put it on YouTube of some of our matches as we go further on. But Grandpa Custa's coming out of retirement. So yeah, we'll see how everything goes. But you should be excited about it. I hope this answered a bunch of your questions that you had about OWCS, because it does feel like there's a lot of sources of information. It's just a lot of new things coming out of nowhere. So let me know what you guys think of OWCS overall. Obviously, it's not exactly what we wanted. It's not as big as we wanted. It's not as big as the Overwatch League, but as I said, I think you should be excited about it. There's cool things on the horizon. It'll be something different. And hey, different isn't always bad. I appreciate all of you. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.